You know, I love to crankbait fish, but for me, I'm fanatical about the hooks. I got to have the exact right one on there, and that's why I worked with Mustad to develop the KVD Elite Triple Grip. You know, I change all of them before they go in my tackle box. The three things that you got to know about these hooks are exactly this. First off, it's an extra short shank, 2 extra short. That gives me a super wide gap, and it allows me to upsize the hook. I can put a bigger hook. This one comes with a 4, I'm going to put 2s on there. They're not going to tangle, and I get a super wide gap. The second thing about this hook is the wire diameter. It's 1 extra strong. And what I've learned from years of trial and error is that you want to minimize the amount of flex in your hook. If your hook's flexing, it's not penetrating. You know, the point's not starting in. I want to have a strong hook with this extra short gap that's not going to flex as much, and that is going to penetrate past the barb, and that's what locks that fish onto this hook. The third thing, and this is the most critical aspect of this hook, is the hook point itself and the shape, or the actual design, the bend of the hook. The Ultra Point, it's the sharpest point that I've ever used, and it stays sharp. You know, if you're cranking down into rough gravel, rocks, things like that, these points hold up, they stay sharp. But that triple grip design, and it's kind of a modified design, compared to a round bend, it doesn't rotate out of the fish's mouth. When you start penetrating and pull, it wants to go straight in. You think with that gap that you wouldn't have as big a bite, or it wouldn't hold as well, but this actually, you know, when a bass bites this hook, it's going to start into his mouth and penetrate directly all the way in past the barb, and that design, it locks him on there. They almost can't get away. You know, most of the time when I catch a bass with one of these hooks on my bait, I got to use pliers to get him off, and that's what I want. You know, this hook is the culmination of 2 years of development and testing by me, and it really all came together this past year at the Bassmasters Classic. You know, I was throwing a 1/2 ounce red eye shad, being able to put 2 of the number 2s on there instead of the factory number 4s. Every bass that touched that bait, I caught. I had 2 of them just swat at it, and I snagged them in the middle of the back and landed them. I don't think any other hook I would have been able to do that with. That's why my crankbait box is always going to have Elite Triple Grips on every bait. Mustad. Stay sharper, longer.